Hey everybody, and welcome to Lindsay's Little Library. And somehow we are at the end of April. I'm not really sure how that happened. Don't know where it went. But April was a really good reading month for me, so I'm super excited to share with you what I read in the month of April. Today's also my husband's birthday, so a big shout out to, what do we call him? Mr. Little Library? I don't know. Anyways, happy birthday to him. I found a few minutes to pop on and do a quick review of what I read this month before we continue on with the celebration. So here we go. So these are in no particular order. I just pulled my pile off the shelf and we're gonna get started. So top of the pile, Defending Jacob by William Landay. This was something I've been wanting to read for quite a while, and so there's another book club in my town that had picked this for their book for last month, and I thought this was just a sign. So I thought I'd pick it up, read it, and then go to that club's meeting. So this follows an assistant district attorney, Andy Barber, and he's been that way. He's been their assistant district attorney for 2 decades. He's very well respected in the community, very well liked, does a really great job. He unfortunately has to get involved with a really shocking crime in his town where a young boy is stabbed to death in a park. Not a spoiler, you know that right away. It says it on the back. But what's even worse is that his son, Jacob, is one of the suspects. Right? Really good book. Really, there were some slow parts. There was a lot of foreshadowing in the book, which I really enjoyed. Sometimes that gets annoying, but in this case, it had me like really guessing things and not understanding a lot. There's some interesting factors that come to play in this. He does some interesting things that I don't always agree with. The ending is shocking and crazy. It's insane. So very good book. I think I gave it 4 stars. When I went to discuss this at book club, it was pretty interesting what other people thought about it. The book club that discussed this, it's not something I go to on a regular basis. It's kind of like I hop in and out of it when the book interests me. I'm not a huge fan of the dynamic of that specific book club. Nothing really specific I can put my finger on, but it's just, I don't know. I don't get the best feel when I'm there. There's definitely some more discussion that could have been had around this book that we didn't quite get to, but I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I went to it. There's definitely some interesting things that happen that you can't help but have to discuss them because it's crazy. Then I have one that's been sitting on my TBR for a long time. My daughter and I have been reading The One and Only Ivan by Katherine Applegate. This is a very sweet middle grade book about love and friendship and kind of trying to do your best to better your circumstances and take care of each other. So really great story about the one and only Ivan, who is a silverback gorilla, and his relationship with Ruby the elephant, Stella the elephant, and they are all growing up in a shopping mall pretty much, and they're like an attraction to the mall. So really great story. Loved it. My audiobook for the month, my original intentions was to listen to Homefront by Kristen Hanna. I had downloaded it, and then literally the next day I got alerted that my hold for this next book came in, so I ditched Homefront. I can borrow that anytime, and I listened to Evicted by Matthew Desmond. This follows poverty and profit in the American city. So this actually follows a number of families, 8 families in Milwaukee. I believe it was in the 90s this all happened. But it follows how these families, what they did and the struggle that they had just to keep a roof over their head and what they went through, the number of evictions that occurred. You get the family side of things, you get the children's side of things, you get the landlord's perspective. Really interesting. Really makes you think. Like, what is very humbling. Very humbling. I highly suggest the audio. It was fantastic. I couldn't help but continue to listen to it, even though there was parts that were just heartbreaking. There was parts where you just wanted to strangle somebody because, like, come on, buddy. There were parts that were, it was very humbling, So really highly suggest the book. It was good. And I don't live that far from Milwaukee, so when they were referencing different streets and the South Side and different suburbs and all of that. I've been to these places. I've driven through these places. I've been on those streets. I know where they are. So that made it a little bit more real, I think. Next one I finished is Friends and Other Liars. I know, you guys, you should be proud. How many times has this been on my TBR in the last few months, right? Like the last 3, I think. Finally got it done. It's by Kayla Cobble. This follows a set of friends. They call themselves the Crew. They've been friends ever since, I believe, middle school, and there's some dual time perspectives here, but we really find them later in life, like in their 30s. And one of their friends kills himself and leaves behind all of their secrets, basically saying, you guys all thought you were great friends. You guys thought you were all honest with each other. Well, I know you're not, and here are your secrets, and I'm gonna reveal them, basically. Interesting. It got slow in the middle for me. I feel like I wanted those secrets to keep kind of revealing themselves as you went through, where it's like you learned a couple and then you had this long stretch and you learned like a bunch more. So there was definitely some slow parts to it. I think I gave it a 3-star, but it doesn't mean it's not good. I enjoyed reading the book for sure. It could have been a little bit more shocking, I think. And the way the secrets were revealed was great. The way it brought what happened to this friendship was interesting. I don't want to give anything away. Definitely still worth the read, just a little slow in the middle. All right, the next 2 are historical fictions that I picked up. I know, shocking. Again, it's my jam. First one, oh, guys. Before We Were Yours by Lisa Wingate. I buddy read this with Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand during Book Buddy-a-thon. And this, oh, such a heartbreaking yet heartwarming story all at the same time. So this centers around the Memphis, Tennessee Children's Home Society that was ran by Georgia Tann in the 1940s. So that is the historical reference, and then the story is what Lisa Wingate kind of thought might have happened. But that event did happen, which just breaks my heart. Because what she did was just, it was unbearable. So basically this follows a group of kids. I gotta make sure I'm not gonna spoil anything for you. Okay, so it does. It follows a set of siblings. I think there's 5 of them. And they live on a boat on the Mississippi, and they're kind of docked outside of Memphis. And her father has to take her mother to the hospital, and so they're kind of left alone for the night. But there's some older siblings, like they're in charge. It wasn't a big deal. But some strangers came on board the boat and took them, and they were committed to this children's home. So what happened at that time, Georgia Tann figured out there's a very lucrative business involved in basically starting adoption. So she was kind of the forefront of it, not in a good way though. She realized that there's some high society, very well, rich families out there who can't necessarily have children, and yet she's got this whole orphanage. So she starts matching up children with these families and getting paid quite a bit of money for it, but is realizing that the supply of children doesn't necessarily meet the demand, so she starts kidnapping them. So super sad, but then don't go into it for the fear of the sadness. Yes, it is sad, but the story that you follow, because it's told in dual time perspectives, and so you see bits of what is after, and it's very, very heartwarming. So give it a shot. I highly, highly recommend it. 5 stars for sure. Then we went back to, you know, my fave, World War II historic fiction. I read Salt of the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. The reason I picked this up was that Ruta Sepetys was speaking at an event near me, and I was going to go to it. Well, I've only read Between Shades of Grey, and I'm like, I gotta read this. I feel like I'm a cheater or something if I walk in there with only have read one of her books. Oh, anyways, it's just me. This follows the sinking of the Wilhelm Gustave, which again definitely happened. It was something that was kept secret for a long time because the Soviets sunk a German ship, and the Germans do not like to admit that stuff like that happened to them. So it was very top secret. She did a lot of research. Oh my gosh, the amount of things that she learned, and just hearing her speak on what she learned from this book and what she based these characters off of, and what kind of drove her to do this was amazing. She's an amazing public speaker. If you ever have the opportunity to meet her, she's fantastic. So I got to listen to her speak, which was, again, amazing. I got my book signed. I know, got to talk to her for a second. I actually asked her, because while I was reading this book, I read this with a friend of mine. So look at that, it's signed. I read this with a friend of mine, and we were talking about how there's a Lithuanian girl in here and she keeps referencing her cousin. And I'm like, is her cousin the main character in Between Shades of Grey? Because she's also Lithuanian, and like the timeline fits. It's the same place. I'm like, and it just seemed too perfect. And so I asked her that, and she was super excited that I had figured that out, or that we had figured that out. It was really, my friend Becky kind of brought it up, and she's like, what do you think of this? And it's like, absolutely, that's what I'm missing. So we asked, and she was just, she's like, yep, absolutely, they are related, not well known. So I was super proud that we kind of discovered that. But anyways, Ruta Sepetys is amazing. Go see her if you have the opportunity. This book was, because you know what happens, right? But the journey to get there, the hope that they have, oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's written so well. I flew through this book. I think I read this thing in 3 days. It was absolutely fantastic. Another 5 stars. All right, so the final book I completed in the month of April was The Secret Mother by Shalini Boland. This was for the Deadly Divas book club. I will leave a link below with a Goodreads link to that book club. It is run by Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand, Lisa from Books and Smiles, and Trish. I'll leave all those links below, but they did a live show. It was super fun. I loved reading this book with them. Psychological thriller about a woman who, she's had some heartbreak. She's gone through some pretty tragic events. And then one night she comes home and there's a little boy in her kitchen saying that she is his new mom. And she has no clue where this boy came from. And it just starts from there. And it's crazy and it's good. There are a few things that didn't quite get tied up that I would like to have known more about. Overall, good book. I think I gave it 4 stars. I went through it really fast. If you're looking for a book that's got short chapters, this is great. On my tablet, it'll tell me like how many minutes till the next chapter, and I want to say that it was like 5 or 6 minutes before the next one, so I continually found myself, well, I can do another 5 minutes. So I flew through that book. It was good. Really, really good. And then the book I'm currently reading is Neighborly by Ellie Monago. Desperate housewife-ish. It's about this couple who moves to this new neighborhood and is like the perfect neighborhood. Like, this is the coveted neighborhood in San Francisco that everybody wants to get into. You pay top dollar to live there, and it sounds like, I mean, they just got there. There's already some weird things happening that I'm like, I'm not quite sure about that one. That's about all I know so far. I really went into this blind, just knowing, I've heard somebody refer to it as it's like a Desperate Housewives type book full of drama, and I'm like, yep, okay, sign me up, let me read that one. So I'm only about maybe 20% into the book, chapter 6, honestly, but there's already some stuff happening that I'm just not understanding. So it should be good. It definitely has me intrigued. I'm liking it, so I should be able to finish that pretty quick. And I have to, because this is for my next book club book. Our prompt for this month, or for our meeting for May, was to read a book with a one-word title. So that's my book. This month we did a little different, where everybody kind of picked their own book, and we're all going to bring it in and share what we thought of them. Try it, see how it goes, just for something different. So, and maybe get some different book recommendations out of it. So we'll see. I'll let you know how it goes. But that's everything I read for April. That's what, 2, 4, 6, what, 8 books? No, 7 books, because I haven't finished Neighborly. So this is pretty decent, where I haven't been reading a whole lot lately, so I'll take it. 7 books is good. It's finally nice outside in dreary, crazy Wisconsin. We did have a really, like, one of our worst snowstorms ever this month, and so I got a lot of reading in that weekend. I think I finished an entire book. But other than that, we got some nice weather, so there'll be lots of opportunity to sit outside, watch the kids play, read some books. I'm totally looking forward to it and ready for it. So let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought, and comment below. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!